Hi there folks, Ros here from Books from My Bookshelf, and Tilly as well, of course. My little co-host here, giving you a wave. So today I had hoped to bring you a Halloweenish book review of this book that I'm currently reading, The Terror, which is actually more of a historical novel than a horror or supernatural thing, but it is certainly horrific. It's dark and very scary at times book, but I'll go into that when I do the review. But it is such a long book, but not only that, my reading of it has been very slow at times, basically because there are certain sections of it that I haven't wanted to read late at night. So my reading has been a bit slow. It's kind of like the equivalent of watching a horror film with your hands in front of your eyes or hiding behind the sofa. You know what I mean? So I've sort of had to read it in some of the sections sort of very slowly. But I should be able to bring that to you next week. So apologies for that. So this isn't going to be a terribly Halloweenish video, but of course we've got my final reading of the conclusion of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which will be being uploaded on tomorrow, on Friday, on actual Halloween. So instead of the book review, I thought I'd do a little mini book haul. Last Saturday, my local Lions charity had one of their book sales, which I always try and get along to, and I bought 4 books there, and there's another book I bought earlier in the month. So we've got 5 books to look at and anticipate reading, which is always great fun. I hope you enjoy this little delve into 5 books that I am looking forward to reading at some point. So first of all, of course, earlier this month I reviewed one of the Harry Potter books, which was Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and I'm sort of slowly making my way through all the Harry Potter books. So of course, as soon as I finished that, I ordered the next one, which is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. And they everyone just seems to get thicker and thicker, doesn't it? The Philosopher's Stone started out quite relatively thin, and they just got thicker as they went on. Now, I have watched the films as well, because they've been showing them on ITV for the last few weekends, and so I watched the film of this fairly recently, but I know very well from having read the earlier books that there is so much more detail in the book. Though I do think the films are great, I am so looking forward to reading this real chunk of a book. Of course, we know this is the one where the Ministry of Magic basically try and take over Hogwarts and are in denial about the return of Lord Voldemort, and Harry has to try and sort of secretly arm himself against an ultimate confrontation with the Dark Lord. So I know that is going to be, I don't know where, I think that's probably going to be one that I'll be reading around about next, maybe late summer, early autumn-ish, at some point, either next year or the year after. I've got so many books in my bookshelf, who knows. So that's the first one on my list. Now, one of the first books I saw when I entered the big room full of books at the book sale, I was so delighted. I've really been wanting to read this. It's The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. Now, I read a Ken Follett book, Dangerous Fortune, I think about, was it last year, I think, and I reviewed it on this channel. And a lot of people said to me, you must read The Pillars of the Earth. So here it is, going into my bookshelf. I'm absolutely really looking forward to this one. And apparently it was selected, it says at the top here, it was selected by BBC viewers as one of Britain's best loved books in the UK's biggest ever celebration of reading, the Big Read. So this is a really, really popular book and probably made Ken Follett much more of a household name. It's published in 1989. It's set in the 12th century. So we've got the civil war going on between King Stephen and Matilda. So that comes into it, I believe. And of course, Matilda never got to be queen, but her son was the first king of the Plantagenet regime, Henry II. But the main theme of this book is the building of a great cathedral. Let me just read a little bit from the back. Against this richly imagined backdrop, filled with intrigue and treachery, Ken Follett draws the reader irresistibly into a wonderful epic of family drama, violent conflict, and unswerving ambition. From humble stonemason to imperious monarch, the dreams, labours, and loves of his characters come vividly to life. The Pillars of the Earth is, without doubt, a masterpiece and has proved to be one of the most popular books of our time. Great. As you know, I love historical novels. I've read a few. I haven't read that many set during the 12th century. The Sunday Express says, a historical saga of breadth and density. Follett succeeds brilliantly in combining hugeness and detail to create a novel imbued with the rawness, violence, and blind faith of the era. Yeah, so that's great. I am very much looking forward to reading that. And do let me know your thoughts on this particular book. Oopsie, that's it. There we go. That's better. Oh, a cuddly little dog. Yeah, there we go. All right. The clocks went back at the weekend. And she's still on the old clock, I think. She keeps asking for food about an hour before it's time. Yes, you do. So anyway, the second book I picked up is an author I have read 3 of hers before, and I do think she's a very good author. I very much like her books. And this is a Kate Moss book, and this is this is called The Burning Chambers. Another historical novel. Her books are generally set in medieval France. This one is set in 1562 in Carcassonne, and it's a real mystery. So I'm going to read the back again. 19-year-old Minou Joubert receives an anonymous letter at her father's bookshop. Sealed with a distinctive family crest, it contains just 5 words. She knows that you live. But before Minou can decipher the mysterious message, a chance encounter with a young Huguenot convert, Piet Redon, changes her destiny forever. For Piet has a dangerous mission of his own, and he will need Minou's help if he is to get out of La Cité alive. A thrilling adventure and a heartbreaking love story, The Burning Chambers is a historical novel of excitement, conspiracy, and danger like no other. So, of course, this is the period, one of the periods of the terrible Huguenot massacres in France. I know a fair bit about that because as a genealogist, quite often I've been asked to trace people's Huguenot ancestors and trying to get back to where they came from in France. which isn't easy always. But so I've looked quite a lot into the Huguenots and where they settled in England quite a lot. But the actual massacres, it was a terrible, terrible thing. Now, this is, in fact, the book that comes first before this one, The City of Tears, which I have read The City of Tears, so I'm not reading them properly in order, but I don't think it matters too much with this one. I mean, this one read perfectly well as a standalone, but it does have references to this book. So I'm really glad now that I'm going to be able to read the preceding book. So, of course, they're both of them. So The City of Tears was begins in 1572, and this one is set in 1562, so about 10 years earlier. So it should be a really fascinating novel again. Just some review quotes on the front. The Times says, "A tale of secrets, love and treachery." Good Housekeeping said, "I must read." And Gorazia says, "Takes you to the heart of the past." And of course, Kate Moss is extremely good at doing that and taking you right into that period of history in France. And Carcassonne, of course, is such... I have never been there. My brother has. And we had some friends who lived very close there, did some historical research around there. So I know a little bit about Carcassonne, just a magnificent place. So I'm very much looking forward to reading that one as well. Now, the next book I picked up, this is an author that I've loved for a long time. And he wrote a very, very famous series of books, his Dark Materials. And of course, it's Philip Pullman. Now, this one is called The Tiger in the Well, and it's the third. Again, it's another book in a series. This is the third in the series of the Sally Lockhart Quartet. Now, I have read the first in this series, which was The Ruby and the Smoke. And as you can see, there was a television series with Billie Piper playing Sally Lockhart. I've never actually seen it, but might be worth seeing if that's available for streaming somewhere. They are really classed as young adult books, sort of 12 plus, 10 or 12 plus, but you know, that for me doesn't matter. I think, you know, when there's an author as good as Philip Pullman, then I always want to be reading these. It doesn't really matter. In The Ruby and the Smoke, Sally Lockhart is age 16, but in this one, she's now a young adult with a child. They're set in the late 19th century, but they were written quite a few years. I think there's a good 10 years between this series and his Dark Materials series. And there is a certain, you can see the maturity that developed in his writing in his Dark Materials series. But these are great. I did enjoy this one, The Ruby and the Smoke. So I was quite pleased to see this one, even though I'll be missing out the second in the series, I think, which is The Shadow in the North. And then there's a fourth one, The Tin Princess. So I'll be looking out for those as well. But I think, again, I think they read fine as standalone books. This one, they're kind of mysteries. Again, The Ruby and the Smoke starts with an anonymous letter, and she sets out to find out the mystery of her father's death, and it ends up being quite a thriller. So that's the kind of theme of the book. So with this one, The Tiger in the Well, so Sally is now an adult. So let me just read a little bit from the back. It is 1881, and all is sunny and well in the life of Sally Lockhart. Her friends Jim Taylor and Webster Garland are away travelling the world, But Sally lives with her darling baby daughter, Harriet, in a fine house in Twickenham, with servants and a thriving business as a financial consultant. That's quite a rare job for a woman in that period. Life has never been so good. Unbeknownst to Sally, everything is about to change. She will soon need every ounce of her courage, every fibre of her moral being, and all her native wit and resolution. She will be utterly alone. She is about to learn, at dangerously close quarters, all about the tiger in the well. So, what? Does that sound frightening? Good girl. There we go. Come on. What's the matter? It's not dinner time yet. What a daft dog. So yes, another thriller, really. And who doesn't love a thriller set in the dark back streets of Victorian London? Sort of going into sort of Sherlock Holmes kind of area, really, isn't it? So there we go, another one to look forward to there. And lastly, this is another author that I've read and enjoyed before. There are actually 2 of hers in the book sale, but as I was getting 4 books for the price of 3, I didn't want to add another one. You're right. So anyway, I chose this one because basically I like the title, and also it's set in England, whereas the other one was set in France. I have no problem with that, obviously, but the last Rachel Hore book I read was set in France, so I thought it would be nice to ring the changes. This one is One Moonlit Night by Rachel Hore. I've read a few Rachel Hore books. I really like them. They're good reads, usually set during wartime, Second World War, and this one is also set during the war. Licking my hand. Have you finished? I need my hand back. That's it. Here you. So here we go. This is the premise. Her husband missing in action and their house in London bombed. Maddie and her 2 young daughters take refuge at Knighton, the beautiful house in Norfolk where Maddie's husband Philip spent the summers of his childhood. Arriving at Knighton, Maddie feels closer to her husband, but she soon realises that there's a reason Philip has never spoken about his past. Something terrible happened at Knighton one summer years before. Maddie is just desperate to discover the truth, but why will no one speak about what took place all those years ago? And will she ever discover what has happened to Philip? So there we go, another mystery. I do like mysteries, and I know from having previously read her books, she's very good at building atmosphere and a sense of place and real mysteries, often with a romantic theme at its heart as well. Just having a look at some of the reviews. So S Magazine said, "This is a stunning depiction of life during the war, both for the men who faced death on the battlefields and those left behind in England, exploring themes of betrayal, family dynamics, and the all-enduring love between a husband and wife separated by war. It's a compelling and evocative read, brimming with hope, courage, and buried secrets." So another thing Rachel Hore often does is have buried secrets, buried family secrets. That's kind of one of her running themes. So there we go, another one. They all seem to be, they are all historical novels and all at different periods. Now, goodness knows when I will get round to reading any of these. I have an overflowing TBR bookshelf, so I'm going to have to squeeze these in somewhere. And but no doubt I will get round to them one day and we'll be reviewing them at some point. do please let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. So in the meantime, I will get round to finishing this, and I'll be reviewing this book next week. Now, I just want to go back on a video I did last week, just to remind you, just in case you've missed it. Last week, I had the privilege of interviewing the host of a new podcast all about Jane Austen and the places from her books, and it'll be sort of delving into the themes and her character. And I had a lovely chat with Anna Walker, who is going to be hosting this podcast. She's the Arts and Culture Director of the website called The Conversation. And this, of course, is all part of the celebration leading up to the 250th anniversary of Jane Austen's birth on the 16th of December. So if you haven't seen that yet, do please go and have a look, and I will put the link up here for you. And of course, as I said, tomorrow will be the last part of Jekyll and Hyde, so look out for that, coming out at around 7 o'clock on Halloween. 7 o'clock UK time, of course. I hope you've enjoyed my little book haul. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you next week with my book review of The Terror. Yeah, I know. It is a bit silly. Not for the faint-hearted, I can tell you. Happy Halloween, everybody. And from me and Tilly, that's it for now. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.